Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m. UK time, we release an update just like this one to help you stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within crypto, but also the broader markets, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. The past 24 hours has been nothing short of eventful. We have a winning, or the case being dropped, against Ripple, Brad, and Chris by the SEC. This is official. This took place yesterday. We're going to be starting the video off by looking at that. We also have Gary Gensler coming out and actually speaking on the ETFs. He was asked about why he didn't appeal, and he mentions the fact that there's lots of other ETFs waiting to be approved. On the topic of ETFs, BlackRock recently refiled. The cryptocurrency market is starting to move in the right direction. We also had the Fed Chair Jerome Powell coming out and speaking yesterday, really kind of reiterating a tighter for longer stance. This has seen bonds and certainly ETFs of the property market in America certainly actually sell off. And there's quite an anomaly going on here because risk generally has included housing and the bond market, and of course tied with the stock market, gold, and crypto, which is this kind of risk asset, and then you've got risk assets, and then you've got kind of risk off, which is more so your yields and the dollar. And there could be a turning point here. We are seeing that with some sort of higher beta risk and less interest rate sensitive risk assets like the equity market, although the equity market got destroyed yesterday. We got stopped out of Tesla earlier this week. GBTC is the only thing we're in from a leverage point of view. And of course, you guys know we're spot long the cryptocurrency market generally and have been since the start of the year. And we do think that next leg up for Bitcoin is going to be monumental for altcoins, just like we saw at the start of the year. And those days we're really looking forward to. We were very right on calling the bottom for Bitcoin and the stock market and all these other things. But the altcoin market has been a little bit tricky. And that's the nature of the beast, nature of a very small speculative market that hasn't even got any kind of regulatory clarity or been accepted as a kind of global asset yet. But Bitcoin is paving the way for that. And that is really where we're going to start the video off. We are going to be looking at our own article. So if you guys don't already know about allincrypto.com, we are committed to bringing you the latest and greatest news via website format and competing with those larger outlets out there that just simply don't cover a lot of the smaller altcoins that we think are important to cover. There's real opportunities with them. But the SEC have officially dropped the case against Ripple and its executives, signifying a major shift in the crypto landscape. And you can see, of course, this was first kind of reported by Watcher.guru. Justin, a Ripple XRP chief legal officer, says, "This is not a settlement. This is a surrender by the SEC." And you can see this is the official document here. You've got Judge Torres. They did look for another judge, but they have given up their kind of tyrannical crusade against XRP. We will dive over to XRP's price. You can see crypto doing very well. The downside scenario, even though we are still in a range, looks a lot less likely with this strong, what could have turned out to be a right shoulder. You want a weak right shoulder that gives confluence. This, of course, is Brad Garlinghouse. We retweeted this last night. Today was an event, and today was an even better day. Ripple 3, the SEC 0. In all seriousness, Chris and I, in a case involving no claims of fraud or misrepresentation, were targeted by the SEC in a ruthless attempt to personally ruin us and the company so many have worked hard to build over the decades. And this is their chief legal officer, Stuart Aldaughtry. The SEC made serious mistakes going after Brad and Chris personally, and now we've capitulated. They've capitulated, dismissing all charges against our executives. This is not a statement. This is a surrender by the SEC. This is absolutely nothing short of fantastic news, guys. And actually, this has broader context for the market as a whole. We know that actually the SEC, Library actually have closed shop. We know they were another lot smaller company that were against the SEC. But to stay on the topic at hand and not to let my brain, as it always does, wander all over the place, this has huge ramifications for the space as a whole. The SEC has, not directly, but indirectly through lawsuits against Binance, Coinbase, Bitfinex and many others, called many different cryptocurrencies securities out there and called them security assets and accused these exchanges of selling and facilitating these security assets without even having any sort of legal or regulatory clarity on it. This has wider implications for the altcoin market. XRP has officially been classified as a non-security. This is a major step as it has utility. And ultimately, many of these other, certainly proof of stake tokens, that are needed in the network, that are used to pay fees, that are used to consent the network, are likely going to fall into the same category. This is not just a big win for XRP and the XRP community, and we actually hold XRP, and we also hold XLM. If you guys want to find out what I'm holding, where I'm holding it, please do consider becoming a Patreon. We also have altcoins right now that I can guarantee you will not guess, because we don't really talk about them on the channel, that are actually outperforming Bitcoin, even under these circumstances. And again, altcoins, we looked at others, we looked at how things performed in the last bull market, are about to get pretty aggressive to the upside eventually, certainly when Bitcoin starts to move. I want to play this clip now of Gary Gensler. Justin, SEC chairman, says they are currently reviewing all applications for a spot Bitcoin ETF. And, you know, he was asked the question, why did they not appeal the Grayscale decision? Let's dive in and have a listen to this.
But is it still ongoing since you didn't appeal?
We didn't appeal last Friday. I think that's accurate.
So you could still in the future in another form.
But what we have in front of us, just so that the viewing public understands, we have not one, but multiple, I think it's 8 or 10 filings that the staff and ultimately the commission is considering for what's called exchange-traded products, for Bitcoin to be in a security. So the Bitcoin would be held, and then there would be something called an exchange-traded product, and that would trade on various stock exchanges. And those filings are in front of us. I can't prejudge any one of them, but there's 8 or 10 that we're looking at.
Well, there is a large number, and there is kind of a narrative in this market, and I wonder if you could put it to rest, that someone's going to get to go first. Is that likely to happen, or is it likely to be a group approval? If you're going to have one, a bunch of products could be approved at the same time.
Again, I'm not going to prejudge. The staff's doing work on those multiple filings, but
we'll leave that there. You know, I personally, my personal takeaway is that they will approve likely them all at once, or maybe they give BlackRock the kind of green light before. BlackRock refiled yesterday for their Bitcoin spot ETF. Of course, ARK ETF did the same thing. I think the thing that I had to include was the fact that Bitcoin mining was somewhat damaging to the not economy. It's actually good, I believe, for the economy. It creates jobs, etc., etc. But for the environment, all things are going in the right direction. You know, if I do say so myself, you know, Bitcoin is doing very, very well. It's done well since the start of the year, really since we started to turn more bullish on the market after being pretty bearish on it. And we did an update, and it's well worth watching because people just simply don't understand how the markets can actually go up during an interest rate hiking environment. And actually, historically, that's been not only true, but the case pretty much every single time. And please try and find that video. I don't know if it was yesterday's or the day before. It could have been 2 days before, maybe Monday. Well worth a watch. We're one of the only channels that actually cover this and have a broader understanding of the markets as a whole. And you can see, of course, you know, Bitcoin doing quite well, but altcoins not really doing as well. The thing with altcoins is, you know, they need that kind of... We've had this risk-off environment. So we've had a risk-on environment from the start of the year as the dollar's continued to capitulate. The stock market has literally... We'll just put the stock market up. Dollar up, stocks and risk generally down. Dollar down, stocks up. Bitcoin took a little bit longer. You had that FTX spill. We avoided all of that. We actually only got back into the markets after FTX. And actually, I think we were quite lucky that FTX happened, not to... gloat about that because it was an awful situation. I have friends that personally lost 6 figures in that. Fortunately, we and my community were very much away from all of that, but that's just how the game goes. You know, we're quite lucky on that. And then you've had this risk-on period as the dollars withdraw, and then inflation starts to pop, and you've had risk-off. Okay, we're looking for the turning of this. The S&P and stocks with a lot of earnings not doing as well as I'd have expected. Also, you know, look at this, for example. This is TLT, which is the debt market, which typically debt has been in basically a 40-year bull market, along with the stock market going up with it. And this is correlated with not necessarily the Dixie, but the continued proliferation of the money supply. There's now an issue with that. Debt is under real stress. It really calls into question, can they continue to go any further? You also had housing recently that's continued to go down. With this kind of pausing for the dollar, and the dollar may be about to roll, we'll drop down time frames in just a second. You know, gold's done quite well, and Bitcoin is now picking its feet up, and the stock market kind of rolled over on the earnings. But I do believe we could potentially be in a period for risk on. I don't know, though, we're not calling that for debt or the housing equities, because I just simply don't know about the housing. It's not really my game. I'm not a housing guy or a debt guy. However, what I do know is yesterday Jerome Powell came out and he was extremely hawkish, as he has to be whilst inflation is still somewhat elevated. We think inflation is largely maintained unless it starts to really spike up again, and we look at true inflation and things like this. And this is what's bid the dollar. Inflation had that first high print in July, dollar up in July. We still need to see this real turning for the dollar, and we're not seeing it just yet. We did a video with More Crypto Online. He's an Elliotician. I'm not an Elliotician, and he reckons the dollar's actually going to see further downside, and this is just a kind of, in this broader trend, a counter trend move that's going to see further downside. And that would sort of fit in with our overall scenario for the stock market and everything else. I think it was a great take that he had on that. This is kind of strong. We've got to see the dollar roll in order to get that confirmation. And really, that's going to be a running of the 105 level, 105.6 level. And then you're probably going to see further downside. And that's going to create a risk-on period. With the dollar stalling, you are having the likes of Bitcoin doing quite well. Bitcoin's actually showed quite a bit of strength when other markets have gone down. It's really gone sideways since 30k. And of course, altcoins have capitulated under this. However, they did the exact same thing back in the... get rid of this. Back here. Let's just use Cardano as an example. You can see the same thing playing out. They had a really good run. They outperformed Bitcoin in terms of percentages, and then they went off and sold onto marginal lows whilst Bitcoin held. And then once Bitcoin got going, they really started to outperform. And that is potentially where we are today, ladies and gentlemen. But we will see. You're getting some real explosive moves in the crypto space. I think we see a lot of bearish comments in the comment section. And I don't really see the need for them. I think people, again, misunderstand interest rates. They misunderstand how they affect the markets. And this is really what separates our viewers and our channel from the rest, is a broader sort of context of the markets as a whole. So that is really all I've got for you guys. We covered a lot. Major win for the Ripple and the industry as a whole. Good news on the ETF. That's all coming, in my opinion. It's inevitability. We had a glimpse of what that was going to look like with the false alarm from Cointelegraph. Hopefully they get dealt with as a result of that, because I think that was, you had a lot of short traders that got really hurt on the back end of that, and anybody that is a trader will know just how hard it is to be a trader. And these things do happen. And then, of course, we've got okay price action. You are still in the danger of a downside scenario, but it's looking less and less likely the stronger Bitcoin is. Gold's very strong. Equity's getting killed. We've got stopped out of our Tesla trade. That's just how the game goes. GBTC, we're still long and strong. Target's, I think, 25. And we've been in it since sub 20. And that's only a recent trade. And yeah, we're long and strong the market. If you want to find out what I'm buying, where I'm buying, please do consider becoming a Patreon. We do weekly meetings. We did a meeting on Wednesday where we looked at my portfolio specifically, and we looked at actually, do we need to be more in Bitcoin at this point, or is it now late in the trend? And I think that was really useful to get everyone together and kind of hash thoughts, comments, and concerns out. So that's really all I've got for you guys. If you have enjoyed this content, a like is appreciated, so as a comment. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one.